Thank you very much, first of all. Okay. Thank you very much, Giovanni, for having accepted to be here with us today for this brief landslide chat on landslides. Let me start right away. What are the main topics you're currently addressing? Can you tell us something about what you're working at the moment?
Yeah, if I'm looking back at my background, I'm still following the same row. So I'm doing mainly rock avalanches, rock falls, and I would say large landslide and rock slides. So on different aspects. So I'm working from a geomorphological aspect. So mainly working on distribution characteristics of very large landslides at a very large scale. So I mean alpine scale, so mountain scale. And something more specific is about single landslide, so something like a specific landslide like the one that we were talking today, so the La Saxe or Ruinon landslides in the Alps, and mainly for predicting displacements according to specific triggering or perturbation. And then we have a field that is mainly on very large rockfalls, extremely energetic, something like the one that just occurred in the Alps in the Cengalo area.
Yeah, a few weeks ago. Now it's exactly. September 2017, and a few weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. In just the end of August, and all the same kind of phenomena that occur mainly in the Dolomites or in the Mont Blanc area. So extremely energetic, extremely large rockfall with possible dangers in hazardous areas where you can have mainly more touristic than or very highly specific or technical touristic activities, but definitely they can be quite
elements at risk that at times are very prized, and
with domino effects or cascade effect like in the Cengalo area. So that is mainly the subject.
You're really a researcher that is addressing important theoretical aspects of the landslide characterization and evolution, but also you've been working at a lot of case studies, as you were just mentioning, throughout the Alps for sure, and also elsewhere. Can you tell us, can you think of a case study that is very relevant for the important lessons that you learned out of it, or maybe some lessons that you learned out of one or
okay. One, I was here for the school, and then I think the La Saxe landslide in.
For the people that are listening, you are here because we are having this,
for the LARAM School.
The LARAM School, and you just finished lecturing about La Saxe. Okay. So
and the La Saxe landslide definitely was one of the best chances for us in the last few years, just to work on a specific case study. Taking advantage of a lot of in situ investigation, good events. So I mean, reactivation or activation of the landslide, because from the scientific point of view, clearly, so that as a chance to have data to work on, and it was also relevant from to the social and relationship oriented aspects. So mainly to the problem with population, or simply for us also the relationship between scientists and technical staff in administrative officers. So
what experience did you have in that particular aspect? Interacting?
Interacting is definitely not always simple, but or clarify exactly what they want, what they wish, or what they would like to see as a result of a possible research. Or how much you can push your research or push people to be interested in your research, because sometimes people, they are not fully sensitive to what they can gain from a research-oriented study.
Absolutely.
More than a simple technical characterization of the site. So that sometimes is quite difficult. It's not easy. So you have to balance the different.
Going to the technical, looking at this case study from a technical point of view, anything that surprised you during these many years of research on this case study that you weren't expecting and maybe came out after studying it?
Yeah, I would say mainly the behavior of the landslides. So usually they are some, I would say, unfortunately or fortunately, they are much more unpredictable than what we usually consider. So I mean, there have been, for example, a progressive acceleration of this landslide, and then almost as well rapid slowing down response that was almost unexpected from a certain way. But the main problem is that there are so many different aspects contributing to the activity of a landslide in natural environment mainly, that is very difficult sometimes to be fully sure about the results of the model or the capability to predict a possible behavior. So that and that is also one of the major problem when you have to treat and to speak with both technical staff in local administration and politicians. So because they usually understand that there is only one solution to a problem.
They expect from you the solution.
Yeah, the solution, the unique solution.
Thank you for that. Let's move to something looking at the future. What are, in your opinion, the main challenges that landslide risk managers face nowadays? In other words, if you should say, what are the main landslide research topics that should, maybe as a community, we should address?
That is a good question. Definitely, I think that on modeling there is a lot that can be done.
Needs to be done.
And the main problem is that too often, at least my experience, is that too often you have to make too many strong assumptions, and it is too easy to develop or implement very complex model that cannot be validated directly on the field. So that is the main gap. It's easier to develop a very sophisticated model, a very advanced model, and but it's much more difficult to validate it or to collect the data that can support that. So it can be maybe simple in the lab, but it's almost impossible in a real physical environment. So that is definitely one of the problems. It's like for, I don't know, very advanced mathematics. So you can have mathematics that is developed 30 years before any possible application in the real world. So that is the main gap. So maybe simply we have to wait and be patient and collect the data and see if something will happen.
Technological advances may help us out in that respect.
Because in the last 20 years, in any case, for example, in monitoring, or
I
also
was thinking about what
there is something that was really unthinkable, and now you can do that, and every year something is changing and you're improving. So that is, and sometimes one of the main question is that simply we have to be patient. So because when you want to have a good data set to model a landslide, maybe you have to wait 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. So just to have a time history.
It is relevant for
that is impossible.
Purposes.
So,
just to close, going to close this conversation, is there anything that you recently read, book, an article, or report that you think it's worth a recommendation? Can you think of something?
Okay, from the there is a lot I can share.
There's a lot,
sometimes there is too much. I would say that sometimes there is too much. Okay. Awesome. It's extremely difficult to follow everything that is published, especially on the scientific point of view. That is a point that we, as a community, we should address or be at least more careful. From a technical, more than scientific point of view, there is a couple of good books that I remember right now that have been published. I think they're from Xyro, and they were mainly on mining. And they were on slope stability in mining condition and groundwater modeling and hydrological modeling in mining condition. And it is a very good couple of books that can, at least they collect a lot of experience and collect a lot of data and examples, so that they are good, definitely.
Okay, thank you for those suggestions. And let's close this conversation. I want to ask you, what are your plan? Can you tell us anything about the future? Is there any plan that you already have for future endeavors, projects? You've been involved in a lot of things. You are currently anything?
Just I won't say. No, it is not that I don't want to get any clue about what.
Okay.
No, but it's not true. No, it's not true. That's I would say that very often I move just on the chance. So, and I'm still developing what I'm doing since many years. So, and once you have the
possibility,
the possibility, or simple the good example, the good case study, you start doing something more. And so it's difficult to say. No, definitely.
Okay, the future is open.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much for this.
Thank you for inviting me.